Have you ever felt your heart race, your chest tighten, and your mind spiral out of control, all because of a single person's words or actions? That sudden heat of anger, that ache of frustration, the sting of being bothered, how often has it robbed you of your peace, your focus, or even your joy? This feeling, this invisible storm inside, is more than just a passing emotion. It's a chain that quietly tightens around your spirit every time you let someone else's negativity take root in your mind. But what if you could break those chains? What if the power to never get angry or bothered by anyone was not just a dream, but something within your reach? Imagine how different your life would be if no one's actions or words could shake your calm. Imagine walking through your days with unshakable peace, unaffected by the chaos or criticism around you. This isn't about pretending to be indifferent or cold. It's about reclaiming the control you already have but have somehow forgotten. Your control over your own emotions. Anger and irritation are not just feelings that come and go. They are forces that quietly steal your energy, your happiness, and your ability to think clearly. They plant seeds of resentment that grow into walls between you and the people you care about, or worse, between you and your own sense of self. Each time you react in anger, you give away a piece of your power, handing over the keys to your peace to someone else. This is why it often feels like you're trapped in a cycle you can't escape, a cycle that drags you deeper into frustration and exhaustion. But here's the truth you might not have heard. You don't have to stay trapped. There is a way out, a path toward freedom that starts with one simple but profound realization. The real cost of letting anger control you isn't just the momentary flare-ups. It's the slow, silent erosion of your mental strength and emotional well-being. It's the nights you lie awake replaying a hurtful conversation, the days when anxiety tightens your chest before you even face the world. When you stay bothered by others, you give them power over your happiness. And that power belongs to no one but you. This video is not just another talk about staying calm. It is a step-by-step journey to reclaim your emotional freedom. As you listen, you will uncover deep truths about why you react the way you do. You will learn how to break free from the invisible chains of anger and irritation. Most importantly, you will discover the tools to build a fortress of peace within yourself, one that no outside force can breach. By the end, you will not only understand how to stay unbothered, but feel empowered to make it your reality. This is your chance to stop handing your peace away, to stop being a prisoner of your emotions, and to start living with courage and calm no matter what life throws at you. Stay with me, because the freedom you deserve is waiting just beyond this moment. It's time to take it back. When anger takes hold, it's not just a momentary flare, it's a slow burn that consumes more of your life than you realize. The truth is, every time you let yourself get bothered, you pay a price far greater than the initial upset. It's like carrying a heavy weight on your shoulders that nobody else can see, but you feel in every breath, every thought, and every action. This weight drains your energy, leaving you tired, distracted, and distant from the person you want to be. It builds invisible walls around your mind, making it harder to think clearly or act wisely. It steals your focus from what truly matters, your goals, your passions, your peace. You may not always notice it immediately, but this emotional toll accumulates quietly, wearing you down day after day. Imagine how different life would be if that weight lifted. Imagine waking up feeling light instead of heavy, calm instead of restless, free instead of trapped. The power to live like this lies not in controlling others, but in controlling yourself, your thoughts, your feelings, your reactions. You have the ability to decide what deserves your energy and what does not. This ability is a kind of freedom few realize they already possess. When you understand this, you begin to see that being bothered by someone else is not about their actions. It's about how you allow those actions to affect your inner world. You start to realize that you don't have to be a victim of your emotions or the people who trigger them. You can choose to protect your peace like the most precious treasure you own. It's easy to forget this when the noise of life grows loud. Criticism, unfairness, disrespect, these things sting because they threaten the image we have of ourselves. They touch our vulnerabilities, our insecurities, and that's why they hurt so deeply. But here's the secret. Those wounds only fester when we hold on to them. When we let anger and irritation take root, they become barriers that separate us from happiness. The energy spent on resentment and frustration is energy stolen from your dreams and your growth. You deserve better than to be drained by every slight or offense. You deserve to live without the constant weight of annoyance pulling you down. This is not about suppressing feelings or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about understanding the cost of letting anger control you and deciding it's time to change. The mind and body are deeply connected. Unresolved anger causes tension, stress, and even illness. By freeing yourself from this burden, you open space for healing, clarity, and strength. You reclaim your focus and your ability to create the life you want. The moment you stop letting others disturb your peace, you start gaining something far greater: control over your emotional landscape. This control is a shield against chaos and negativity. It is the foundation of unshakable confidence and calm. This journey you're on is not just about stopping anger, it's about gaining something priceless: your freedom, your peace, and your power to choose how you respond. It is the greatest act of self-respect and courage you can give yourself. When you see the true cost of being bothered, you realize that the only way forward is to rise above it, to live with a heart strong enough to remain calm, clear, and steady, no matter what storms arise. The life waiting for you beyond this realization is one where you are the master of your emotions, not their prisoner. And that life is worth every step you take today. To break free from anger's grip, you must understand what triggers it inside you. Anger doesn't appear out of nowhere. It is the product of deep-seated survival instincts and learned responses. Your brain is wired to protect you from harm, both physical and emotional. When you feel threatened, even subtly, your body reacts with fight or flight. Anger is a shield, a defense mechanism designed to protect your sense of self. But in modern life, these reactions often misfire. Words, behaviors, or situations that challenge your ego or threaten your comfort can spark this automatic response. The problem is not the trigger itself, but how deeply and unconsciously you react to it. When you recognize this, you begin to see anger not as an enemy, but as a messenger, a signal from your mind that something inside you feels unsafe or unsettled. This realization changes everything. Instead of fighting your anger or judging yourself for feeling it, you start to observe it with curiosity and clarity. You see that anger is rooted in fear, pain, or unmet needs. You begin to identify the specific wounds or insecurities that are fueling your reactions. This process of understanding yourself deeply creates space for healing. The moment you stop blaming others or circumstances for your anger, you take back the power that was lost. You transform from a passive victim into an active participant in your emotional life. This shift is the foundation of true emotional freedom. You become aware that your reactions are not fixed or unavoidable. They are choices waiting to be made with conscious intention. It's important to realize that this awareness does not mean suppressing your emotions or pretending they don't exist. The goal is not to eradicate anger entirely, because it is a natural and sometimes necessary response, but to prevent it from controlling you or dictating your actions. When you learn to pause, breathe, and recognize the root cause behind your feelings, you weaken anger's hold. You create a moment of space between stimulus and response, and in that space lies your power. This space is where transformation happens. This space allows you to decide whether to engage with anger or let it pass like a storm that does not disturb your inner calm. When you practice this kind of emotional intelligence, you not only protect your peace, but build resilience. You start responding to life's challenges with clarity instead of chaos, with strength instead of reaction. Your relationships improve because you no longer react impulsively or carry unnecessary tension. You find that others' words and actions lose their power to hurt or provoke you. This is not because you have become indifferent, but because you have mastered the art of emotional regulation. You have learned to listen to your emotions without being controlled by them. This mastery is deeply empowering, and it builds over time with patience and practice. Every moment you spend understanding the roots of your anger is an investment in your future freedom. It is the most courageous step you can take on the path to never being bothered by anyone again. This awareness illuminates the way forward, showing you that emotional peace is not a distant goal, but a present possibility. You can start this journey right now by turning your attention inward with honesty and compassion. The more you know yourself, the less power others have to disturb you. And with that knowledge, you reclaim the calm, control, and courage you were always meant to live with. This is the beginning of your transformation, the moment when anger loses its grip and your true power emerges. Every reaction you have starts with a choice, even if it doesn't feel that way. The truth is, no matter how automatic anger seems, there is always a moment, a brief, powerful pause, when you can decide how to respond. This choice is your greatest power, the key to breaking free from being controlled by others' words or actions. Understanding that you can choose your response rewires everything. It takes you from feeling powerless and reactive to feeling strong and in control. It is not about ignoring what happens around you or pretending you don't care. It is about reclaiming the ability to protect your peace by consciously directing your energy toward calm, clarity, and courage. When you accept this power, you shift from victim to victor in your own life. This realization ignites something deep inside, a spark of freedom that grows stronger every time you exercise it. Instead of immediately reacting with anger, frustration, or hurt, you begin to step back and ask yourself what is really happening beneath the surface. What fear or insecurity is being triggered? What is the real story you are telling yourself in that moment? With this inner questioning, you gain distance from the raw emotion and start to see the situation with clearer eyes. This clarity breaks the hold of intense feelings and allows you to respond with intention rather than impulse. You discover the strength in slowing down, in choosing peace over chaos, in mastering your emotions instead of being mastered by them. Choosing your response requires practice, but each choice made with awareness builds your emotional muscle. It rewires your brain, forging new pathways that make calm your natural state rather than a rare victory. Every time you refuse to be provoked, you grow stronger. Every moment you choose peace over reaction, you reinforce your freedom. You learn to protect your mind as fiercely as you protect your body. This choice to respond differently is not weakness. It is the most profound expression of strength and courage. It is a daily act of self-respect and self-care that transforms your entire life experience. When you make this choice consistently, the world around you begins to change. People's words lose their sharpness, their attempts to unsettle you fall flat. You stop carrying the burden of anger that once weighed you down. Your relationships deepen because you respond from a place of calm instead of conflict. Your mind becomes a sanctuary where clarity and peace live, no matter how stormy the outside world may be. This power to choose is a form of freedom that cannot be taken from you. It is yours to claim every single moment. Remember, this is not a one-time victory, but a lifelong journey. Each day, you have countless opportunities to practice choosing your response. And each time you do, you build an unshakable foundation of emotional resilience. The path to never getting angry or bothered by anyone is paved with these choices, simple, conscious, and powerful. Your peace is waiting, not as a distant dream, but as a reality you can step into right now by embracing the truth that no one controls your emotions but you. This truth is the doorway to courage, calm, and lasting transformation. It is your birthright to walk through it and live free. To truly master your emotions, you must become an observer of yourself. This means stepping back from the rush of feelings and watching them as if from a distance. When anger or irritation arises, instead of diving in and being consumed, imagine yourself as a calm witness, noticing what is happening without judgment or reaction. This simple shift, becoming an observer, creates a space where peace begins to grow. It stops the automatic cycle of reaction and replaces it with awareness. This awareness is the foundation of emotional freedom because it allows you to separate who you are from what you feel. Your emotions no longer define you or control your actions. Instead, you control how you engage with them. Observing your emotions doesn't mean detaching from life or becoming cold. It means cultivating a clear mind that acknowledges feelings without being overwhelmed. It means recognizing that anger is just one part of your experience, not the whole story. When you learn to watch anger arise and pass like clouds drifting across the sky, you take away its power to consume you. You create a steady center inside, a calm, unshakable place that no outside disturbance can penetrate. This place is where you find strength, clarity, and the freedom to choose peace over chaos every time. Developing this observer mindset requires patience and practice. At first, emotions may feel intense and automatic. But as you practice stepping back, you'll begin to notice patterns, triggers that consistently spark anger, recurring thoughts that fuel frustration, or certain situations that disturb your peace. Recognizing these patterns is powerful because awareness itself weakens their control over you. Once you see the root causes of your emotional reactions, you gain the ability to respond differently. You no longer have to be caught in the same cycle of anger and bother. Instead, you become the one who decides how to move through each moment with grace and strength. This practice is backed by how the brain works. When you observe your emotions without immediately reacting, you activate parts of your brain responsible for reasoning and self-control. This rewiring helps you build resilience and emotional balance. Over time, your mind becomes less reactive and more reflective. You find that your responses become more measured, your patience grows, and your inner peace deepens. This is not just a mental exercise, it is a transformation of your entire emotional landscape. Becoming an observer also deepens your connection to yourself. You start to see your emotions as messages, not enemies. You learn to listen to what anger or frustration is trying to tell you about your needs, boundaries, or values. This listening leads to greater self-understanding and self-compassion. You realize that you deserve kindness from others, but most importantly from yourself. When you treat your emotions with respect and curiosity, you create a space for healing and growth. This space is where your true power lives, the power to remain unbothered, unshaken, and free. This practice of observing your emotions is a daily gift you give yourself. It builds a resilient mind that no longer surrenders to anger or disturbance. It is the quiet strength that stands firm when the world tries to provoke you. It is the key to living with the calm confidence you crave, the calm that no one can take away. This inner observer is your ally, your protector, and the doorway to the peaceful life you deserve. Embrace this way of being and watch how your world transforms from chaos to calm. To fully harness this observer mindset, you must learn to breathe, not just physically, but consciously, intentionally, as a tool for reclaiming your calm. Breath is the bridge between your body and mind, the simplest and most powerful way to break free from emotional overwhelm. When anger surges, your breathing becomes shallow and rapid, fueling the fire within. But when you shift your attention to slow, deep breaths, you send a clear signal to your brain: the danger has passed, you are safe. This activates your body's natural relaxation response and creates immediate relief from the grip of intense emotion. Mastering your breath is like having a remote control for your nervous system, allowing you to pause, reset, and respond with clarity rather than reaction. Breathing with awareness is a skill that anyone can develop. It doesn't require special equipment or training, only your focus and commitment. In moments when you feel anger rising or irritation bubbling beneath the surface, simply pause and bring your attention to your breath. Inhale slowly through your nose, feeling the air fill your lungs. Hold briefly, then exhale fully and evenly through your mouth. Repeat this cycle a few times, allowing each breath to wash away tension and clear mental clutter. This practice creates a vital space within you, a moment where anger loses its intensity and your true strength shines through. The power of your breath lies in its immediacy. It works right here, right now, restoring calm when you need it most. This simple act of conscious breathing rewires your brain's habitual patterns. Over time, it trains your nervous system to stay balanced even when faced with triggers that once provoked you instantly. Your mind learns that it does not have to react with fight or flight. Instead, it can choose calm and reason. This neurological shift is the foundation of emotional resilience. It means you stop being at the mercy of external forces and start becoming the steady captain of your inner world. The more you practice, the stronger and more automatic this calm response becomes, until it feels like second nature. The impact of mastering your breath extends far beyond moments of anger. It enhances your overall well-being by reducing chronic stress and increasing mental clarity. It sharpens your ability to focus and improves your capacity for patience and compassion toward others and yourself. When you breathe deeply and mindfully, you create a powerful buffer against the daily pressures and provocations that once left you feeling drained and reactive. You reclaim energy that was lost to anger and transform it into fuel for growth and peace. Breathing consciously also anchors you in the present moment, pulling your mind away from the past hurts or future worries that often feed anger and resentment. This presence is a sanctuary where you regain control over your emotions. It reconnects you to your true self, calm, grounded, and powerful. The breath becomes a constant ally, a quiet rhythm that supports your journey toward never being bothered by anyone again. By owning this simple practice, you arm yourself with an unstoppable tool that carries you through every challenge, every conflict, every test of your emotional strength. This mastery of breath is a profound declaration. No one will steal your peace because you hold it tightly within you. Every moment you choose calm over anger, you are strengthening the foundation of your inner peace. This foundation is built not just on awareness and breath, but on the deliberate choice to shift your mindset. Your mind is the battlefield where the war between peace and anger is won or lost. Thoughts are the sparks that ignite emotional fires. When you allow negative, reactive thoughts to dominate, they feed anger and frustration, making you feel small, powerless, and trapped. But when you consciously choose to replace those thoughts with others, thoughts of understanding, patience, and strength, you rewrite the script of your inner dialogue. This shift in thinking creates a powerful ripple effect, calming your emotions and reinforcing your ability to remain unshaken. Changing your mindset is a radical act of self-empowerment. It means refusing to believe the lies your mind tells you when anger flares. Lies that say you are a victim, that you must fight back, or that you are helpless. Instead, you choose to see challenges as opportunities to grow, to learn, and to practice your resilience. You remind yourself that your worth and peace are not determined by others' behavior or opinions, but by the way you respond. This mental shift is more than positive thinking. It is a deep psychological restructuring that rewires your brain toward freedom and strength. Each time you consciously redirect your thoughts, you weaken old patterns of anger and strengthen new pathways of calm and control. The power of mindset is amplified when you recognize the role of perspective. How you interpret situations shapes your emotional response. When you view someone's actions as personal attacks, your body reacts with defensiveness and anger. But when you choose to see those same actions as misunderstandings, ignorance, or reflections of the other person's struggles, your response softens. You begin to feel compassion instead of rage. This doesn't mean excusing bad behavior or letting others walk over you. It means reclaiming your emotional power by refusing to let others' negativity define your experience. Perspective is the lens through which you filter life's challenges. Sharpen that lens and you reduce the power of anger to control you. This mindset and perspective work together to create emotional immunity, a protective shield that guards your peace from disturbance. Emotional immunity is not built overnight. It is forged through consistent effort and self-awareness. Each time you notice a reactive thought and consciously choose a calmer one, you add a brick to this shield. Each time you see a trigger and choose understanding over offense, you strengthen your armor. This process makes you less vulnerable to emotional attacks and more grounded in your true self. Your emotional immunity is what allows you to remain steady, no matter how loud or chaotic the world becomes. Embracing this mindset requires courage and persistence. There will be moments when anger threatens to break through, when old habits try to pull you back into reaction. But remember, every step you take towards shifting your thoughts and perspective is a victory. It is proof that your peace is worth fighting for, not with fists or words, but with clarity and calm. This mental mastery is the heart of never being bothered by anyone. It is the quiet, unstoppable power that lets you live free, confident, and unshaken, no matter what comes your way. When you own this power, you hold the key to a life defined by peace rather than pain, strength rather than struggle. This is your choice, your transformation, and your freedom. Your environment plays a powerful role in shaping how easily anger arises within you. The people you interact with, the spaces you occupy, and the messages you absorb daily influence your emotional state more than you might realize. If you surround yourself with negativity, conflict, or constant criticism, your mind will mirror that chaos, making it harder to maintain calm and peace. On the other hand, intentionally creating an environment that supports your emotional well-being, builds resilience, and strengthens your ability to remain unbothered. This means choosing not only the company you keep, but also the mental and emotional spaces you allow into your life. The energy you consume, whether through conversations, media, or even your own inner dialogue, becomes the soil where your emotions grow. Nurture that soil wisely, and you grow peace. Neglect it, and anger will take root. Creating this supportive environment starts with boundaries. Boundaries are not walls to shut others out, but gates to protect your inner sanctuary. They are the clear decisions you make about what you will accept and what you will not tolerate. Setting boundaries is a declaration that your peace matters, that you refuse to sacrifice your emotional health for the sake of pleasing others or avoiding conflict. When you enforce boundaries consistently, you send a powerful message to yourself and others that your calm is non-negotiable. This protects you from unnecessary provocation and reduces the chances of anger arising from situations that can be controlled or avoided. Boundaries free you to focus your energy on what truly matters, your growth, your peace, and your purpose. Your environment also includes your thoughts and mental habits. Constant exposure to negative or toxic ideas creates internal noise that disrupts your calm. By intentionally choosing uplifting, empowering, and peaceful inputs, you quiet this noise and cultivate a mindset that supports your emotional freedom. This means carefully selecting what you listen to, read, and focus on. It means rejecting gossip, judgment, and anything that fuels resentment or bitterness. When you fill your mind with positivity and possibility, you create a fertile ground where peace can flourish and anger struggles to find purchase. Equally important is the environment you create within your body. Physical health and emotional health are deeply connected. When your body is tired, hungry, or overwhelmed by stress, your mind becomes more reactive and prone to anger. Taking care of your physical well-being through proper rest, nutrition, movement, and relaxation builds a solid foundation for emotional balance. It strengthens your nervous system and equips you to face challenges without losing control. Your body becomes a sanctuary of calm rather than a battlefield of tension. Choosing and shaping your environment is not about controlling every detail of life. Many things will remain unpredictable and uncontrollable. But it is about taking responsibility for the factors you can influence, creating a space that nurtures your peace rather than eroding it. This conscious cultivation of your environment is a powerful form of self-love and self-respect. It fuels your ability to stand strong, calm, and unbothered in the face of life's inevitable storms. When you surround yourself with support, set firm boundaries, and care deeply for your mind and body, you build a fortress of peace that no one can breach. This is not just a strategy. It is a lifestyle that transforms anger from a frequent visitor into a distant memory, clearing the path for lasting calm and freedom. The most profound shifts happen when you take full ownership of your emotional landscape. No one else controls your feelings. This truth, once fully embraced, transforms your entire experience of life. To live free from anger and disturbance, you must internalize the reality that your emotions are your responsibility, not anyone else's. This is not about blame or guilt. It is about reclaiming power. When you stop giving others the key to your peace, you close the door on their ability to provoke you. This ownership is the foundation of emotional sovereignty, the unshakable throne from which you govern your inner world. Taking ownership means recognizing that every emotional reaction begins with your interpretation. It is your mind that assigns meaning to events, words, and actions, shaping how you feel. This empowers you to question and change those interpretations. Instead of automatically accepting that someone's harsh words mean you are worthless or attacked, you pause and consider alternative explanations. Maybe they are projecting their own pain. Maybe they are acting from fear or misunderstanding. This reframing shifts the emotional charge and diffuses the impulse to anger. You become the master of meaning, choosing thoughts that support your calm rather than feed your fury. This ownership requires radical honesty with yourself. It asks you to look deeply at what lies beneath your anger, the fears, insecurities, or unmet needs that ignite it. When you face these truths courageously, you begin to heal and release the hold they have on you. The process of owning your emotions is also a journey of self-discovery and self-compassion. You learn that anger is a signal, not the enemy. It points to areas where you desire respect, safety, or connection. By honoring these desires and meeting them within yourself, you reduce the need for anger as a defense. This inner meeting is transformative. It turns pain into power, reaction into reflection, and anger into peace. Owning your emotions also means choosing your responses deliberately. It is the moment of pause between stimulus and reaction where your true freedom lives. This pause allows you to engage your rational mind and choose an action aligned with your highest values. When you respond with calm, you send a clear message to yourself and the world. You are not controlled by external chaos. You embody strength, dignity, and peace. This choice is an act of courage every time you make it, a daily practice that builds resilience and redefines your identity. As you fully own your emotions, you break free from the exhausting cycle of blaming others for how you feel. You reclaim your energy, focus, and joy. You become the architect of your emotional reality, designing a life rooted in peace rather than turmoil. This ownership opens the door to deeper relationships, greater confidence, and profound inner freedom. It is the ultimate act of self-respect, a declaration that your peace matters above all else. When you own your emotions completely, you stand untouchable, serene, and unstoppable. This is the power that changes everything. True emotional freedom comes when you understand the power of acceptance, not resignation, but active, conscious acceptance of what is beyond your control. Resistance to reality fuels frustration and anger because it creates an internal battle against the world as it actually exists. This struggle drains your energy and blinds you to peace. Acceptance, on the other hand, is a radical surrender that frees you from the exhausting effort of trying to control everything and everyone around you. When you embrace acceptance, you stop fighting the inevitable and begin channeling your energy into what you can influence, your own mind, your own actions, and your own peace. Acceptance is not about passivity or weakness. It is a profound strength that requires courage to practice daily. It means acknowledging when someone behaves poorly, when situations disappoint you, or when life's challenges test your patience, without letting these realities consume your emotional well-being. This acknowledgement allows you to stop reacting impulsively and instead respond with clarity and calm. You create a powerful space inside yourself where peace is your default, regardless of external chaos. Acceptance releases the heavy burden of expectation and opens the door to freedom and resilience. This practice rewires your relationship with anger by shifting your focus from what is wrong outside to what you can do within. You learn to let go of the need for others to act differently and instead commit to managing your own responses. This shift puts you in the driver's seat, giving you control and peace where before you felt powerless. It breaks the cycle of anger that comes from unmet expectations and replaces it with a calm determination to rise above provocation. This is the quiet revolution of emotional mastery. Acceptance also deepens your compassion, both for yourself and for others. When you accept reality as it is, you start to see people not as enemies or obstacles, but as flawed human beings like yourself, doing their best in their own imperfect ways. This understanding softens anger and replaces it with empathy. Compassion becomes a shield that protects your peace and a bridge that connects you to others without sacrificing your boundaries or calm. It allows you to hold strong while remaining open-hearted, a balance that creates true emotional strength. The more you practice acceptance, the more you experience freedom from the chains of anger. It transforms your inner world from a battlefield into a sanctuary. You no longer waste energy resisting the uncontrollable. Instead, you focus on cultivating serenity and resilience. This acceptance does not erase challenges, but changes your relationship to them, making them easier to navigate and less threatening to your peace. It empowers you to face life fully awake, steady, and unbothered. When acceptance becomes your way of being, you claim an unshakable peace that no one can take from you. It is the foundation of emotional invincibility, a place where anger loses its grip and calm reigns supreme. This acceptance is your gift to yourself, a powerful act of self-love that transforms how you experience every moment. In this space, you stand free, strong and serene, untouched by the storms around you. This is the heart of never being bothered by anyone. To strengthen your ability to remain calm and unbothered, you must cultivate the habit of self-awareness. Self-awareness is the clear, honest observation of your own thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations without judgment or distraction. It is the inner mirror that reflects your emotional state in real time, allowing you to notice when anger begins to stir before it escalates. This moment of awareness is your greatest ally. It gives you the power to intervene, to shift your focus, and to choose a different response. Without this conscious observation, anger can rise unnoticed and sweep you away like a storm. With it, you hold the reins of your emotional life firmly in your hands. Developing self-awareness requires patience and practice. It asks you to slow down and check in with yourself regularly throughout the day. Notice the subtle signs that precede anger: a tightening in the chest, a rush of heat to the face, a sudden surge of thoughts blaming or judging. These signals are your body's early warning system. When you tune into them, you catch anger before it takes over. This practice also deepens your understanding of your personal triggers, those specific situations, words, or actions that tend to provoke you. Knowing your triggers is not about avoiding them, but about preparing yourself to respond with calm and clarity when they arise. Self-awareness opens the door to choice. When you feel anger bubbling up, instead of reacting automatically, you pause, you take a breath, you ask yourself, is this thought or feeling serving me? What would peace look like here? This pause creates a powerful space where your rational mind can regain control. It weakens the reflex to lash out or withdraw and strengthens the habit of responding with intention. Over time, this intentional response becomes your default mode, and anger loses its grip on your life. The power of self-awareness extends beyond anger. It transforms how you relate to every emotion and every experience. You become more present, more grounded, and more connected to your true self. This presence is magnetic. It draws calm into your life and repels chaos. When you are aware, you are less likely to be manipulated by others' negativity or caught in cycles of frustration and blame. Instead, you stand firm, anchored by the deep knowing of who you are and what you will accept. Self-awareness also fuels growth. It reveals patterns that keep you stuck and opens the way to new habits and beliefs that support your peace. Each moment of clarity is a step toward mastery. It requires honesty, courage, and kindness toward yourself. You learn to witness your imperfections without harsh judgment, treating yourself with the same compassion you offer others. This gentle but unwavering self-awareness is the key to lasting transformation. When self-awareness becomes a consistent practice, you unlock a profound sense of freedom. You no longer live on autopilot, caught in reactive loops. Instead, you live consciously, choosing peace and power in every moment. This shift is the foundation of never being bothered by anyone. It is the silent strength that steadies your mind and guards your heart. With self-awareness, you claim your peace as your birthright, unshaken by the world outside. Anger often feels like a force beyond control, but the truth is it thrives in the absence of emotional regulation, the skill to manage your feelings before they manage you. Emotional regulation is not about suppressing or ignoring your emotions. It is about understanding them deeply and responding with intentionality rather than reaction. When you learn to regulate your emotions, you create a buffer between stimulus and response, giving yourself the crucial seconds to choose peace over turmoil. This ability to pause and direct your emotional energy is a superpower that transforms how you experience the world and how the world experiences you. Mastering emotional regulation begins with recognizing that emotions are messages, not commands. Anger is an alarm signaling unmet needs or violated boundaries, but it does not have to dictate your behavior. Instead of being swept away by the intensity of anger, you learn to listen to what it's telling you. This listening opens the door to conscious choice. You acknowledge the feeling without judgment, allowing it to exist without letting it control you. This subtle but profound shift changes anger from a tyrant into a messenger, giving you the opportunity to respond with wisdom rather than impulsiveness. Breathing techniques are one of the most powerful tools in emotional regulation. When anger rises, your body reacts with increased heart rate, muscle tension, and rapid breathing. These physical symptoms feed the emotional storm, intensifying your reaction. By deliberately slowing your breath, you activate your parasympathetic nervous system, the part of your body that calms and restores balance. This simple act interrupts the fight or flight response and brings your mind back to clarity. Deep, intentional breathing grounds you in the present moment and reduces the power of anger before it escalates. It is a tool available to you anytime, anywhere, and its impact is immediate. Beyond breathing, emotional regulation requires cultivating mental habits that foster calm. This means practicing self-talk that soothes rather than stokes anger. When you catch yourself thinking in extremes, this is unbearable or they always do this, you challenge those thoughts and replace them with balanced, realistic reflections. This mental discipline weakens the automatic triggers that lead to anger and strengthens a mindset rooted in patience and understanding. Over time, these small shifts create lasting change in how you process difficult emotions. Another essential aspect of emotional regulation is learning to redirect your focus. Anger gains momentum when you dwell on what provoked it, replaying the event in your mind like a broken record. This repetition fuels resentment and frustration. Instead, consciously shift your attention to something positive or neutral, a goal, a memory, or simply your breath. This redirection interrupts the cycle of anger and rewires your brain to seek peace rather than conflict. It trains your mind to focus on solutions and growth instead of blame and pain. When emotional regulation becomes a practice skill, you gain control over your inner world. You no longer live at the mercy of external triggers, but respond with grace and power. This mastery is freedom. It is the foundation upon which the ability to never be angry or bothered by anyone is built. Through regulation, you claim your peace as an unshakable part of who you are, standing firm no matter the storms that rage outside. This strength transforms your life and the lives of those around you, creating a ripple effect of calm and resilience. The path to emotional freedom deepens when you begin to detach your identity from your emotions. You are not your anger. You are not your frustration. These are experiences, not definitions. Yet too often, people fuse who they are with what they feel. They say, I am angry rather than I feel anger. That one shift in language, that tiny shift in perspective, creates a massive transformation in how you relate to yourself. It reminds you that emotions pass. They rise and fall like waves, but you remain the ocean, deep, still, and untouched at your core. The moment you stop identifying with passing feelings, you reclaim the space to choose peace without guilt, shame, or resistance. Emotions are energy in motion, and like all energy, they move through you when you don't cling to them or resist them. When you learn to observe anger rather than become it, you unlock emotional clarity. This clarity is power. It allows you to witness your reactions instead of being consumed by them. You can say, this is what I'm feeling, instead of, this is who I am. That shift is what separates reaction from response, survival from mastery. The more you practice this internal detachment, the more you step into the role of the observer, the calm presence behind the emotion, unshaken, aware, and in control. This inner detachment is not cold or distant. It is compassionate and awake. It does not deny your feelings. It respects them without surrendering to them. It gives you space to ask better questions when triggered. What story am I telling myself right now? Is this feeling useful or harmful? Does it align with who I want to be? These questions ground you. They open doors inside your mind that reactive emotion tries to slam shut. They invite conscious choice, and conscious choice is the mark of emotional maturity. Every time you choose to identify with your values rather than your emotions, you become stronger. You remember that your core values, peace, clarity, strength, self-respect, are not things that come and go. They are solid, they are unchanging, and they are always available to anchor you. When anger whispers that you've been disrespected, your values remind you that dignity is not given by others, it's chosen by you. When frustration tempts you to lash out, your values guide you back to patience, to grace, to wisdom. This alignment between identity and values builds an unbreakable inner structure that withstands even the strongest storms. You are not your anger. You are the one who notices it. You are not your irritation. You are the one who decides what to do with it. That distinction is everything. It puts you in command of your emotional world, not through force, but through awareness. This is where your power lives. In detaching from reactive emotion and grounding yourself in who you truly are, you become unshakable. You stop needing others to behave a certain way for you to feel calm. Your peace becomes internal, unconditional, and permanent. That is what it means to never be bothered by anyone. It is not the absence of emotion, it is the mastery of it. The strength to remain unbothered comes from a deep understanding of your worth. Not the kind of worth that depends on titles, achievements, or approval from others, but the quiet, unshakable worth that exists simply because you are. When you recognize your inherent value, you stop feeling the need to defend it. You no longer react to every opinion, insult, or judgment that comes your way because you know none of it defines you. The noise of others can only disturb those who haven't yet owned their inner truth. But once you do, your peace is no longer negotiable. You no longer need validation to feel whole. You no longer need the world to understand you to feel secure. That is true freedom. People who live in constant anger often haven't made peace with themselves. They feel threatened by criticism because deep down, they believe it might be true. They react with aggression because they think their value is at stake. But when you've accepted yourself fully, you realize nothing anyone says or does can touch your core. Your self-worth becomes your armor. It protects you from offense. It shields you from provocation. It gives you the courage to walk away, to remain silent, or to speak with clarity, without letting emotion take control. When you know your value, you no longer feel the need to prove it. You embody it. You must decide that your peace is more important than being right, than being heard, than being understood. It doesn't mean you don't speak your truth. It means you don't trade your peace to do it. You don't lower yourself to match someone's chaos. You rise above it because your peace is sacred. You protect it like it's your most precious possession because it is. Without inner peace, everything feels heavier, harder, more hostile. But when peace lives within you, you become the calm in the storm, not the one thrown around by it. When you are deeply rooted in your worth, you also stop personalizing other people's behavior. You understand that how others treat you reflects their state of mind, not your value. If someone disrespects you, it's a mirror of their unresolved pain, not a measure of who you are. You learn not to internalize their energy. You simply observe it, respond if necessary, and let it go. Their chaos doesn't belong to you. You don't carry what isn't yours. You walk with lightness because you are no longer burdened by other people's emotional debris. Every time you respond with calm instead of rage, with stillness instead of reaction, you reinforce your inner foundation. You train yourself to stay centered. This is what unbothered means. It's not cold, it's not indifferent, it's powerful. It's the choice to remain grounded in who you are, no matter who or what tries to pull you away. And when that choice becomes a habit, anger loses its place. It no longer fits in the life you've chosen. You outgrow it. You rise beyond it, and in that rising, you become untouchable. You don't need to control others to feel peace. That belief that people must act a certain way for you to stay calm is the very trap that keeps you reactive. The truth is, people will say what they want, do what they want, and live from their own level of awareness. You cannot stop them. You cannot shape every situation to your liking, but you can take full control of how you respond. And that is the only control that ever mattered. When you let go of the need to manage other people's behavior, you finally find the space to manage your own. And in that space, peace becomes possible. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up. It means shifting your energy from what drains you to what empowers you. It means no longer tying your emotional state to other people's moods, decisions, or mistakes. You step back, you breathe. You allow them to be exactly who they are without letting it shake your ground. That's not weakness. That's emotional intelligence. That's strength. That's freedom. The more you try to fix, change, or control others, the more anger you invite into your life. But when you stop trying to control the external world and focus fully on mastering your internal one, anger begins to dissolve on its own. There is immense power in the pause, that single moment where you decide not to react, not to explain, not to engage in chaos. That pause is a declaration. It says, I don't owe every emotion or reaction. I don't need to match the noise around me. I don't lose myself just because someone else has. The pause gives you time to return to your breath, to your clarity, to your values. It is the space where transformation lives. In that space, you become a new version of yourself, one who no longer needs to fight battles that don't matter or prove truths that never changed. You don't rise by controlling others, you rise by controlling your focus. You choose where your energy goes. You choose what you hold on to. And when you decide to hold on to your peace more than your pride, your life begins to shift. Every encounter, every conflict, every moment becomes a chance to practice your freedom. The less you try to control people, the less they can control you. You stop being pulled in 1,000 emotional directions. You become centered, still, certain. And from that stillness, you gain clarity. You begin to see how much time you've spent trying to manage what was never yours to manage. You begin to reclaim that time, reclaim that energy, reclaim that power. And you put it where it belongs, on your growth, your healing, your vision. That's when peace becomes permanent. That's when anger no longer fits. Because the more you focus on your own path, the less anything outside it can disturb your balance. Control fades, presence rises. And you finally understand peace was never about them. It was always about you. The deepest freedom is found when you no longer need external conditions to justify your internal peace. When you stop waiting for others to act right, speak kindly, or treat you fairly before allowing yourself to feel calm, you step into your highest power. You recognize that peace is not given by the world, it is chosen from within. And you can choose it again and again, regardless of what surrounds you. That choice is not denial, it is not indifference, it is wisdom. The wisdom to protect your inner state as the most sacred part of your life, the part no one else has the right to control unless you hand it over, The people who trigger you are revealing something important, not about them, but about you. They are exposing the places within you that still react, still grip, still hurt. And while it's easy to blame them, the real transformation begins when you take full responsibility for what lives inside your mind. This responsibility is not blame. It is power. It means you stop waiting for the world to fix itself and instead turn inward to clean the space where peace is either built or broken. That space is your thoughts, your reactions, your interpretations. Change that and everything changes. You can choose peace in the presence of conflict. You can choose patience in the presence of disrespect. You can choose clarity in the presence of confusion. These are not reactions, they are decisions. And every time you make them, you grow stronger. Not louder, not harsher, but stronger in the quiet way that nothing external can shake. This is the kind of strength that people feel without you needing to say a word. It is the energy of someone who is no longer waiting for the world to give them what they have already given themselves. Letting go of anger is not about pretending things are fine. It is about refusing to let pain define your energy. It is about deciding that your spirit will no longer be hijacked by someone else's chaos. You can see what's wrong without losing what's right inside you. You can acknowledge the mess without becoming part of it. That's real mastery. Not the kind that dominates others, but the kind that owns itself. The kind that doesn't need to prove anything because nothing is lacking within. Every time you choose not to react, not to fight, not to fall into old patterns, you rewrite the story of who you are. You create a new identity, one not shaped by emotion, but led by intention. And from that identity comes a new life. A life where you wake up not hoping for peace, but knowing you carry it. Not fearing the world, but trusting yourself. Not bracing for conflict, but standing firm in clarity. That is the life of someone who is no longer angry, no longer reactive, no longer pulled into the chaos of others. That is the life of someone free. And it is yours to claim. When you stop giving your energy to what you cannot control, you begin to notice how much of it was being wasted. Every reaction, every outburst, every lingering frustration was a leak in your power, a slow drain on your focus, your creativity, your clarity. But when you choose stillness over reaction, when you choose presence over panic, you reclaim every drop of that power. You begin to operate from a different frequency, one that does not rise and fall with the chaos around you, but moves from a steady, intentional place. You stop being reactive and start being deliberate, and that shift changes everything. The mind wants to protect you. That's why it creates anger when it senses a threat. But most of the time, the threat is not real. It's perceived. A look, a tone, a word. Your mind assigns meaning, and your body responds. But you are not obligated to believe every thought your mind creates. You are not required to accept every story it tells. You can pause, you can question, you can ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Is this worth my energy? Most of the time, the answer is no. And that moment of recognition is where your freedom begins. You are not weak for choosing calm. You are powerful for refusing to be pulled into storms that were never yours. You are not passive for walking away from conflict. You are wise enough to know that not every battle deserves your time. Some things are simply not yours to carry. And letting go is not losing. It's releasing what was never aligned with who you are becoming. It is a declaration that your peace, your energy, your inner world matter more than being right, more than getting the last word, more than proving anything to anyone.